Hey y'all, it's Miss Flores. So today we are going to be dealing with mixed numbers and improper fractions and learning how to convert between the two and what those kind of fractions look like. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, we have improper fractions. So improper fractions is where the numerator is greater than the denominator. So like the following fraction, I've got 26 fourths, and I know it's improper because 26 is greater than 4, right? When I'm dealing with improper fractions, if I've got 26 fourths, well, I know that 4 fourths makes 1 whole, so I'm dealing with a number that's greater than 1, right? So let's learn how to convert this to get those whole numbers out. All right, so just like we had before, we have 26 fourths. When we are turning a fraction, so this is our improper fraction because our numerator is larger than the denominator, right? When I'm dealing with a situation like this, what I can do is divide to turn this improper fraction into a mixed number. What I'm going to do is I'm going to divide numerator by our denominator. So we're going to do numerator divided by our denominator. So 26 is going to go on the inside, and 4 is going to go on the outside. So 4 can't go into 2, right? But it can go into 26. 4 can go into 26 6 times, right? 6 times 4 is 24. We subtract and we get 2. So this is as far as we go. We just do this little bit of division. We're not adding any decimals. We're not doing any kind of remainders. But we're going to look at the numbers we have, and we're going to assign them different parts of our new mixed number. So I've got these 3 numbers that we're going to look at: 6, 2, and 4. However many whole times that 4 went into 26 is our whole number. Whatever we were dividing by, which is our denominator, is going to stay our denominator. And our remainder that we had, which was 2, is going to be our new numerator. So now that I know what is assigned to what, 26 fourths would be equal to 6 and 2 fourths. But remember, we're in 5th grade now, so we simplify fractions, right? This leftover fraction I've got, that 2 fourths needs to be simplified. So what I can do is 2 and 4 are both even, so I can divide both of them by 2. I can divide both of those by 2, and I end up with 1/2, which means that my answer is actually going to be, my answer is actually going to be 6 and 1/2, because we can't forget our whole number. So our answer would be 6 and 1/2. Let's look at the next one. We're going to do it the exact same way. This is how we do our turn improper fractions into mixed numbers. Is we're going to divide numerator, so top divided by bottom. So 42 divided by 9, right? This is basically like what we were doing in PEMDAS, right? How our line in our fraction bar meant division. Lines and fraction bars always mean that we can divide, right? So we can do 42 divided by 9 to come up with our new mixed number. So we'll do 42 divided by 9. So 9 can't go into 4. But it can go into 42, right? 9 can go into 42, what? 4 times? 4 times 9 is 36. We subtract, we get a borrow, and we get 6. So just like before, remember, we've got 3 important numbers. And those are their different pieces of our mixed number. The number that it went in a whole number of times, right? 9 went into 42 4 whole times. This is our whole number. Whatever I was dividing by. 9, it was already my denominator. It stays my denominator. My remainder becomes my new leftover numerator. So using this, we've got our answer as being 4 and 6/9. But remember, we always have to check if that leftover fraction can be simplified. We know that 6 and 9 both have a common factor of 3, right? They can both be divided by 3. So let's divide both of those by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 9 divided by 3 is 3, which means that our final answer is going to be 4, because we can't forget our whole number, 4 and 2/3. So that means 42/9 was equivalent to 4 and 2/3. Let's do a few more. 66/12. So remember that a fraction bar means dividing. So in order to turn this improper fraction to a mixed number, we divide. We will do 66 divided by 12. So 60, nope, that's not a 6. 66 divided by, let me move this down a bit. All right, 66 divided by 12. All right, so 12 can't go into 6, but it can go into 60, right? I know that 12 times 5 is 60. So 12 is going to go into 60, 6 5 times. 5 times 12 is 60. We subtract and we get 6. So we just stop after that one step. That's it. Let's look at our numbers that are important. We've got 5. We've got 6. We've got 12. This 5 that it went in a whole amount of times is our whole number. Number. Our 12, what we were dividing by, that is already our denominator, stays our denominator. Our remainder becomes our new numerator. So, if I put this back together, that makes my 6/12, or 66/12 be equal to 5 and 6/12. But remember, 6/12 looks like it can be simplified, right? Because 6 is half of 12. Remember, if your numerator is half your denominator, that means it's 1/2, right? We could divide both of these by 6. And we get 1/2. So that means our final answer is going to be 5 wholes and 1/2. That means that 66/12 is equivalent to 5.5. All right, we got 2 more improper fraction to mixed numbers. Go ahead and pause the video here, try it on your own, and then play it and see how you did. So we have 35/15. 35/15, so we need to do 35 divided by 15 to turn this back into a mixed number. So 15 can't go into 3, but it can go into 30, right? 15 times 2 is 30, so 15 is going to go into 35 2 times. 2 times 15 is 30. We subtract and get 5. So here are my important pieces. 2, 5, and 15. 2, the whole amount of times 15 went into 35, is our whole number. 15, our denominator, is going to stay our denominator. And my remainder is going to be my new leftover numerator. It's my leftover piece that didn't quite make a whole number, right? So that means we put that all together to make our mixed number. That 35/15 is equivalent to 2 and 5/15. Remember, we want to simplify, right? We always want to have it in simplest form. Well, 5 and 15, they're both multiples of 5, so we can divide both of them by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So my 5/15 was equivalent to 1/3, which means that my answer is actually 2 and 1/3. 35/15 is equivalent to 2 and 1/3. All right, let's look at our last improper to mixed number problem. So like I said before, pause here, try it on your own, see how you do. So So 39 sevenths. In order to turn this into a mixed number, I've got to divide 39 divided by 7. 7 cannot go into 3, but it can go into 39, right? 7 times 5 is 35. So 7 is going to go into 39 5 times. 7 times 5 is 35. We subtract and get 4. So these are our important pieces, 5, 4, and 7. 5, the whole, oops, skipped the wrong one. Sorry. 5, our whole number of times that 7 went to 39 is our whole number, right? Our denominator, which was 7, which is what we divided by, stays our denominator. And then our remainder becomes our new numerator. So that means I put it all back together to get my answer. And we get 5 and 4 sevenths. Can I simplify 4 sevenths? 4 is only divisible by 2 and 4. 7 is prime, so it can only be divided by 7, right, when we're simplifying. Since they don't share any common factors, it is as simplified as we get. And our final answer is 5 and 4 sevenths. All right, let's go ahead and talk about mixed numbers. So mixed numbers is where we've got a fraction and a whole number. So it's basically like what we were just doing, right? How we turned our improper fraction into a mixed number. We have the whole separate and then our leftover fraction on the side. So now, sometimes, depending on what we're doing, we need to have our mixed number be an improper fraction. Like if we are subtracting or multiplying fractions, things like that. So let's take that 5 2/3 and turn it into an improper fraction. So let's think about what 5 2/3 actually means, right? 5 wholes. Well, if we're dealing with thirds, that means I've got 5 groups of 3/3, right? I would have 3/3 plus 3/3 plus 3/3 plus 3/3 plus another 3/3, right? That's our 5 wholes. But then we've also got this 2/3 left over. So that would be plus 2/3. If I were to add all that together, that gives me 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 17. That gets me 17 thirds. But that's a lot of adding. There's an easier way to do it. What we can do instead is we can do a trick like this. What we can do is we work around our fraction, starting at that 3, going up. So we started our 3. We're going to multiply our 3 times 5. 3 times 5 is 15, right? That was our 5 groups of 3/3. And then we can add our leftover fraction and get 17. So 3 times 5 is 15 plus 2 is 17. But our denominator was 3. So our denominator stays 3. And we end up with 17 thirds, just like what we did with all that addition. But it's easier. It's faster, right? So we basically work around the fraction, around the mixed number. We do our denominator times our whole number plus the numerator. So we start at the bottom, work our way around and up. And this ends up being easier. It ends up being faster, especially because sometimes our whole numbers are big. Sometimes our fractions are big, right? So this makes it quick and easy. Let's try another one. So we've got 6 4/5. 6 4/5. So we start at the bottom, right? We start with our 5, multiply by our whole number, then add our numerator. So we do 5 times 6 plus 4. 5 times 6 is 30 plus 4 is 34. So we worked our way up and around. That got us our new numerator. Our denominator stays the same. So if we were dealing with fifths, then it's going to stay fifths. So 6 4/5 is equal to 34 fifths. This is pretty easy. So y'all, for the next 3, pause here, work it on your own real quick, and then play and see how you did. So we'll do 7 times 4 plus 3 to get our new numerator. We go up and around. So 4 times 7 is 28, plus 3 is 29, 30, 31. So with 31, for our new numerator, our denominator was 4, so it stays 4. So 7 3/4 is equivalent to 31/4. All right, let's look at 10 6/7. See, this is why we do the quick trick instead of doing all that repeated addition, because 10 groups of 7 sevens, they end up with a lot of stuff, right? So let's do it. We do our whole number times our our denominator times our whole number, and then add our numerator. So we work up and around. So 7 times 10 is 70, plus 6 is 76. That's our new numerator. Our denominator was 7, so it stays 7, and we end up with 76 sevenths. Last and final question, we've got 11 7/8. Just like before, do your denominator times your whole number, and then add your numerator, go up and around. So 8 times 11 is 88, plus 7 would be 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. So we end up with 95. Our denominator was 8, so we end up with 95 eighths. So this is what we do to turn our mixed numbers into improper fractions, and before we were turning improper fractions into mixed numbers. We do this because sometimes, depending on the problem, we need to turn our mixed numbers into improper fractions to solve, and then whatever improper fraction we get as our answer, we want to turn it back into a mixed number, because that's basically what we're doing when we're simplifying improper fractions, is we're turning them back into mixed numbers. So depending on the problem, we have to, swap between the two, and you need to know how to change in between mixed numbers and improper fractions. So let's go ahead and look at today's assignment. All right, y'all, here is our assignment for today. We are converting between mixed numbers and improper fractions. So our first seven problems are going to be taking our improper fractions and converting them to our whole number and leftover fraction, right? So obviously you can see that there isn't going to be a space for you to work out these problems. Y'all saw me working out the problems at the beginning of this video. So you're not going to be able to write on this because this is a Google slide, depending on what technology you're using. But when you work it out on a separate sheet of paper, you do the division. You do 25 divided by 4, like what we just did, and you're going to type your answer in here, right? So let's do that real quick. So if I did 25 divided by 4, I know that 4 goes into 25 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24. And then we subtract, right? And we get 1. So these are my important pieces. We've got 6, we've got 1, and we've also got 4. So remember, however many whole times it went in is our whole number. That's supposed to be a W. Whatever we were dividing by, which was my denominator, right? 4 was my denominator, is going to stay my denominator. And then our remainder is going to be my new numerator. So this is what needs to be done on a separate sheet of paper. And then you're going to put your answer into your problem. So 6 wholes. So I typed 6. My new numerator was 1. And my denominator was 4. If you can simplify, I cannot simplify 1/4, right? Because it's got a 1 as my numerator. If I can simplify this leftover fraction, you should simplify it, right? We're in 5th grade. We are simplifying all of our fractions now. So that's how you're going to do the remaining 6 of those improper to mixed number problems. Start on slide 9. From slide 9 to slide 15, you have a mixed number, and you're writing it as an improper fraction. We don't simplify improper fractions when we're going from mixed number to improper because we are going to use it and then we're going to simplify it later. So if you're ever working on a mixed number to an improper fraction, you're like, should I simplify? Don't worry about it. So remember our rule. Whoops. When we were going from a mixed number to an improper fraction, we go from the bottom and we basically work our way around. We do our denominator times our whole number and then add our numerator to whatever that is. We work up and around, right? So we'll do 3 times 3 to get however many I have out of 3 groups of thirds, right? So 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So my numerator would be 10. Whatever my denominator was, which in this case it was 3, is going to stay my denominator. So I end up with 3 1/3 is equal to 10 thirds. And that is what we are doing on this assignment. So I just did 2 of them for y'all. So you will have the remaining 6. So you end up having like 12 questions to do in total on your own. We will go over these later when we meet up again today. And let me know in the comments of Google Classroom, of your assignment, on the stream, wherever, if you have any questions. All right, y'all. I will talk to y'all later. Have a fantastic day, guys. Bye.